Hello, people of the world that watch internet videos that have to do with cars. Welcome to this. My 1990 Honda CRX SI Restoration Series, which will soon be powered by none other than the legendary B16A dual overhead cam VTEC Honda engine. In the previous video, I was in the process of making sure the engine runs before I strip everything and make it look all brand new again. Get out of there.
In the previous video, I was in the process of making sure the new engine will run fine. Now that I know it does, it's time to make this car look new again.
I'm free, my child. I know a lot of you probably think it's ridiculous that I wouldn't just stick this on the car as it looks right now because it's clearly in really good shape, but
the whole point of this is to do a restoration, and if I'm not making everything look like it's brand new again, then what am I even doing?
It's under tension.
I do have a limitation though. If I feel I will make something worse than when it came from the factory by messing with it.
Locking lug nut, good thing that didn't. That's a weird one.
I'll leave it as is. Also, I'm adding in a 90 percentile rule on things like brackets and hardware. If I find it still looks 90% brand new, I'll let that 10% slide as just a little sprinkling of patina to show a tiny bit of its age.
Can you not get this off without taking the hub off? That is such a dumb design. It's vital that I do this part so that way when I go to zinc everything, I know what went where because there's a lot of super similar bolts. You know, this is gonna remove more weight from the rear. The last thing I need is this thing tipping off the lift because I have so much weight up front. I wonder if I should do a compression test before I pull the engine out. I'm jumping all over the place right here, but these are the things you gotta think about. I know it runs really nice. In case you're wondering, that's just adhesive from a sticker. All right, let's do a compression test.
For those of you that are not aware of what a compression test is, think of it as the medical equivalent for a car's engine, as when a human ages, rings start to loosen up and not hold in pressures as well as they should. Don't laugh at your grandparents when they fart at Walmart.
This engine looks in really good shape, but this will give me a glimpse of the inside shape. Screw that down inside there. Ooh, I guess I can just disconnect the distributor so this thing doesn't fire up. Why is the door locked? It'll just kind of sit in the car. Well, I guess that wasn't on all the way. What the hell? It started bleeding down while I was setting up the camera, but it was up to about 195. Oh, you know what? I don't have my throttle body open. I wonder if that matters. Next. Get out, hurry. Well, it's a good thing that I'm recording this because it does drop after I come out here. The last one, 214. That is letting it crank until it physically doesn't get any higher. That is crazy good. I was trying to look up what the average compression ratio should be for a B16A SIR2 spec, and it's kind of like looking up how tasty shrimp is supposed to be. And my brain's broken. Either way, those numbers are really close together. That's like an average of 215, and they're within very close percentage of each other, so. Welcome to this, my restoration station. What I have right here is a zinc plating kit, do-it-yourself, that I purchased for hardware. This little robot gourd looking thing is a tumbler. I just remove this lid and I fill that up with media in hardware, and it will strip everything off of it down to the bare metal and make it look new again. Stinks horribly. It smells like dead fish. An ultrasonic cleaner, and I reconfigured my homemade vapor blasting cabinet, which worked like shit, back into a sandblast cabinet. Restoring this puts me in a bit of a conundrum because the heat shield is separate, but you can't remove it without separating the two halves of the hub to get the wheel bearing out, which it's a sealed bearing and you will destroy it trying to press it out, and they're discontinued. But as you can see, the hub assembly is completely covered in rust, as is the knuckle, because it's raw, unfinished steel, because it's a machined surface. You can't paint it.
Now, some of you with a keen eye might have caught on to the fact that I essentially have two sets of rear suspension for this car, the original ED9 CRX stuff, as well as the DC2 Integra Type R stuff I bought from Japan, which means I have two sets of hardware, which is an even bigger bonus because that's extra stuff that can get re-zinced in case I'm missing a bolt.
This car hardly weighs anything, so it takes forever to lower it. Yeah, that's so easy to unwire. Ouch! I do not fit like that. You can't see what I'm doing, so just take my word for it that I'm undoing the ECU from the floor. ECU! I'm free.
For those of you that watch the car reviews I film, when I do my wrench score assessing ease of maintenance, this right here is the type of thing that I typically have in mind. How much of an ass pain would it be to pull the engine and transmission on something? Because in my mind, this is the easiest way to do a thorough, proper, heavy maintenance on an engine and transmission is with it out of the car. Now that does factor in having access to a lift and proper tools, but in the case of the CRX, I rated it a 9.8 out of 10.
Woo, what do we got connected still? Oh, ground wire. Engine out. Since I'm doing the restoration on this quite a bit different than I did on the Celica, the first few videos of this series might have seemed like not much got accomplished because I was doing all the test fit stuff first rather than after. So now everything I film is gonna be just purely making stuff look new again. So this is the satisfying part. Or I could use a ratchet and not be a moron. I didn't think before I did this. There. There.
In the previous video, I asked the question that a lot of you responded to in the comments section on which is better for suspension parts and brackets in the engine bay.
That was really on there, geez.
Powder coating or DTM epoxy. It seemed as if there was pretty much 50-50 answers on which one was better. However, the comment that stood out the most to me was the fact that DTM epoxy has a higher chemical resistance to fluids you'll typically find on an automobile.
There. I've been pretty thorough with cataloging all of the hardware as I disassemble it, but when it comes to the blasting and stripping process, I have to be even more thorough because I can't just take one thing out of a bag at a time to know exactly where it went back. What I want to know though, completely unrelated, it puts the nut in the cabinet. Now in order to provide air for that cabinet, I now have this guy. Big shout out to BenPack for also providing this new compressor for my shop, which will provide 38 CFM at 100 PSI, which is also enough for my dry ice blaster. So now I have something that I can do all of the restoration work with. I'll flip the switch right there. So standing right in front of it right now, it's 72 decibels. Oops, I'm talking. It also has a little electronic drain valve. Oh wow. Yeah, that works really fast. There's a ton of dust floating around in here, and I don't want to open the door. Oh yeah, it's definitely smoky in there. So that took maybe 30 seconds or so to do the entire nut. But keep in mind, I have probably 500 to 1,000 bolts. Just when you thought I was being super organized and methodic with my little hardware bench shelf and the bins with all of the nuts and bolts properly labeled to each component they're removed from with the sizes of each bolt, this is a handy dandy Acura notebook, which is ironic because Honda. What the hell's all inside here? This is a nasty, dirty notebook. All right.
After tearing apart multiple cars now and reassembling them on the internet for everyone to judge me, if there's one piece of advice that I can pass on to everyone, is when you write down stuff about where hardware came from, what the measurements were, what color it originally was, what part it was attached with, always make sure you write it down in 2 different locations, because if you lose one and you don't have adequate tech data or pictures or video like I do since I'm making YouTube videos, it's an absolute ass pain to find where that hardware came from.
I took about 2 hours and 45 minutes and I cataloged half of the cart over there of every single bolt, nut, bracket, what color it is, where it came from, its dimensions, so I can identify it. That's just how that goes. If you recall, this was the only rusty thing on that entire car from a leaky battery, and it's the battery tray. It's completely destroyed. So, I would like to see what I can do to it.
Just when I thought I had everything all figured out, this started to happen.
Hey, why is it not working now? Why is it not working anymore? This is the same thing I ran into when it was set up as a wet blast cabinet. It just like clogs constantly, and it's fresh, brand new media in there. I can tell that there's stuff seeping out of the cracks too because it stinks. I finally got an awesome Skookum compressor, but now this thing sucks. I think it's just a crappy gun. There we go.
Pretty sure the problem was I didn't have enough weight of blasting media in there to keep the hose buried, but either way, that didn't matter because what happened next was a deal breaker.
Now it works. This thing leaks profusely. I already put new seals on the door, but it's leaking out of all the cracks in the entire machine. It's just, this is insane. All that leaked out in the matter of a couple minutes. You can't see it on camera, but the whole shop is cloudy right now. All that is getting all over the Celica. You can see it's ejecting all around the I spend more time working on this blast cabinet, fixing things on it, than I actually get to use it to do stuff. On top of the time I spent fixing that thing, now I gotta wash 5 cars and sweep my shop. All right, let's try out my little gourd of doom. Hopefully this is better quality. I gotta fill this thing up. It looks like candy that will break your teeth. I gotta leave room for the hardware, so. Now, ideally, I wanna leave this running in there for 24 hours at least. Now, the key is to only do hardware that like definitely needs to be redone. That bolt is nasty. Well, this thing's hot. It has been running now for 24 hours. Oh, wow. Holy shit. I'm gonna have to get a strainer. I don't know how I'm gonna do this. Here, this is gonna be messy, and I'm just gonna do it, and then I'll show you after. Ta-da! Finished product. All the hardware is raw metal. What didn't work so good though is removing the hardware without making a huge mess. So the day after, I let that run for 24 hours and it's noisy. So the next batch, I'm gonna put it in the bathroom and shut the door. But before I do another batch, there's still a lot of hardware and bracketry. Luckily, a lot of this stuff will probably clean and doesn't even need to get re-zinced. My thought process on how I'm gonna do this is I'm gonna paint the bay first, and then I'm gonna do the undercoating and the wheel wells, and then the body and stuff will come after. How do I do this though? I'm gonna have to drain all the brake fluid. There's no way around it. Brake master cylinder looks new, but that fluid looks putrid. I knew these jugs would come in handy. Well, I either choose one drip or the other. Oh well, I think this will make it go out faster. Out with the little brakes, soon in with the big brakes. That brake fluid is so dark. The brake proportioning valve's on the passenger side of the engine bay of his best friend's ride. Sorry. I think that's the best place to split it because then I can take the whole assembly off as one. Man, some of this stuff, I don't even have to re-zinc. I just need to clean it. Like half those bolts. Oh my God. Why are these so tight? I mean, because they're brake lines. If the thing was still bolted to the side of the car, it wouldn't be that hard. Now would it? Idiot. Sometimes I'm dumb. Oh, imagine that. I can loosen it now that I did things smart. There isn't a person on this earth that isn't an idiot some of the time. It's okay. It's okay to be an idiot. Embrace it. So if you look along the firewall, there are all these little yellowed clips that have the brake lines going through it. They're not supposed to be yellow. I'm gonna use some of my very own RoboBubble OE Clean, which is a way you can support this channel, available on my website. I'm gonna turn on my camera, which you're not supposed to see because you don't see cameras, you just see the people on the camera. I'm gonna fully saturate these little clips. Not its intended purpose, but it works really good at it. It kind of looks like a rabbit or a duck or an alligator. Some of you saw that last second. I have the word perpetuity stuck in my head. I don't know why. I don't even know what it means. I think it's something to do with perpetual, the state of being perpetual. Yeah, sadly, this is already broken, I think. I removed it, it didn't break, but I think it's supposed to be hinged. Fuck.
Level 10 out of 10 carefulling situation.
Come on.
On a part that probably cost less than $1 brand new in 1990.
I'm trying to save these, but I don't know if I can. Yeah, that is supposed to be a hinge and it was already deteriorated. It's usable. Aha, that's free. Got it. Ha, ta-da. Better. Ooh. I bet that'll clean up. If I put too much stuff on here, I'm gonna forget where it all goes. Oh, it's a vacuum reservoir. Ouch! Why is that? I just took the fuel filter housing off of the firewall. I am perplexed at why there is a banjo fitting going inside the firewall. Why would there be fuel inside the... I was super careful when I disassembled the Celica to make sure I was sorting stuff so I wouldn't lose it. But I'm trying to go up above and beyond what I did on that car on this. Oh, that's neat. The bottom bolt that's down in this pocket is angled so you can get a wrench on it. Honda engineers, that's what's up. Whoever designed that should have got a raise. Restoring cars of this era that have lots of plastic bits that are one-off and discontinued will actually start to get easier, I think, in the future because of 3D printers. But the cost of getting into a good 3D printer and then learning how to use it is time consuming and they're expensive. Luckily, I can get these little wire tie things. They're pretty easy to come by. Sweet, didn't break that one. I think that's it. I think. I flopped that thing out of the way and now I can just step over. It's a 13. That's not Honda. Oh, it is factory. Nissan. It's 7/8. I believe I can do a 15/16 on this car. That's the same thing I did on the Celica and on my MR2. Okay, I got too much stuff I've removed at this point. I have to look up what a EP3 CTR uses for a master, because if this was adequate, I want to keep it because it's new and leaking all over the place. Either way, I'm running out of time because I got to record a car review tomorrow. But before I go, check this out. Found it on Craigslist for $500, so I just bought it. That little R2-D2 thing is a suction cubby, so that way I don't get dust in my shop. It has a built-in light. It's top opening, as well as it has a side door down over there. But there's a downside. The motor for the R2-D2 cubby is burnt up. So I gotta find a motor for it, but I can use a shop vac temporarily. So either way, I would say that should get the job done for the rest of the parts. So thank you guys for watching. I'll see you soon with another video. Bye.